Hey everyone, it's Jice with B2B Thrive, and I'm here to talk to you today about delegation. If you've been reading my blogs, which the link is below, so definitely check that out and subscribe if you haven't already. But if you've been reading my blogs, then you see that I have touched on delegation a little bit here and there lately in some of my posts. So I wanted to delve a little bit more deeply into delegation, why it's important, and how we delegate effectively. So delegation is a tool that is used for used for effective management. Why? Because we can't do everything ourselves. And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. If you want to be the most productive, at some point you have to delegate out tasks. Additionally, as you grow out your business or as you climb the corporate ladder, you'll find that there's no possible way for you to do everything yourself. So you will still be forced to delegate out tasks. One of the reasons we struggle with this is because most people who open up businesses or who are climbing the corporate ladder tend to be either alphas or type A personalities, and we tend to think that we do everything best. So it's really hard to give over ownership of a task or a project because it feels like it's a direct reflection of us, which it is, but also because we have to relinquish some of that control, and that can be tough. I know it. I struggle with this myself. Even though I understand this concept, I teach this concept, but it's always that struggle to give over a task or give over a project that ultimately you feel you could just do better yourself. So I sympathize with you. I understand. But again, as we continue to move forward in our career paths, as we continue to grow our businesses, it just has to happen. So with that being said, there are a few reasons why we can be dissatisfied with the results of our delegation. Oftentimes, it could be that either the person that you chose to delegate the task to isn't the correct person for the job, or it could be the way that you're delegating. And so first, we're going to talk about kind of the three things that you really need to do or look at when you're delegating, and then we'll jump into how you as the delegator could give the task better if that could be part of the problem. So I just really want to stress that when you properly use delegation, it really increases your productivity. So I hope as I'm going through these quick steps, and they're quick, but they're very important. I hope that some of this is internalized because, again, I really want to make sure that people who are watching these videos and reading the blogs and reading the tips are getting something valuable that helps them move their business further along, or helps them move further along in their career. So when you're delegating, there are basically three things you need to look at. You need to make sure that you're delegating the right type of task to the right person, and you're delegating them the right way. So what type of tasks should you delegate? The first thing that I would look at is if the task could help the person I'm delegating it to grow. Meaning, if I have a subordinate, or if I have someone that I've hired and I have things that can really help develop and grow their career, then those are things that can be delegated. The other part of that is if I'm sorry, I drew a quick blank there. Yes, you need to delegate to people who can benefit from that task, but then also you can delegate tasks that reoccur frequently. So that makes them worth delegating, because that's something that you can get off your plate. If you have regular reports that have to be run, you have regular updates, you have certain things that have to be continuously done on a consistent basis or on regular intervals, you can train someone how to do that and then get that off your plate. So those are some common tasks that are the best to delegate. What you should not delegate are specific management tasks or tasks that have been given to you specifically. So especially in corporate America, if your boss gives you a task, don't give that task to someone else, unless you're a project lead or a team lead and you have that ability to, delegate that out. But if you have a specific task that was given to you, don't delegate that. Okay, so that's what to delegate. So those three things: delegating the right task, and then giving them to the right person. So when you're looking at the right person, you want to make sure that their underlying skill set can accommodate the task. And then it's about finding that right balance between allowing them to work within the confines of their abilities, but also managing from a quality control perspective. You want to manage and make sure that the task is done correctly. And so sometimes I'll take a little bit of balance, but the focus is to make sure that the task is done correctly. And that doesn't mean that it has to be done the way you would do it. It just has to be done correctly. So again, with us type A folks, we have to remember that there's more than one way to skin a cat, and it doesn't always have to be done the way that we would want it to be done, as long as the end results are done to standard. So that, covers the correct task to delegate and how to determine if that person is the right person. Then there is also the right way to delegate something. So that could also be a little tricky, because that depends on how you yourself as a delegator present the task. So before I go a little bit further, I just want to point out that communication is key when delegating. So if you are sure that you've picked a good task to delegate, and you're sure that you've given it to a person who's capable of completing that task, and it still doesn't come out to your satisfaction, then you have to turn internally and ask, what could I have done to make this project come out better? So that tends to break down, in my professional opinion, into probably 4 categories. One is, were you clear on the objectives and the expectations of the task? And that can be tricky. I believe that ties into the 4th one, which is communication. So I'll kind of talk about that at that time. But, really laying out in a very clear and precise way what exactly needs to be done, and what your expectations for those outcomes are. Again, without trying to delegate exactly how it's done, unless there are like specific processes or procedures that have to be followed, and that should be done in the training of the task. So the second thing was, are you clear on the roles and responsibilities? I mentioned earlier about if you are a project lead or a team lead. So if you just give a project out to someone and you say, Bob, Jim, and Joe, all of you are great men, and I want you guys to take care of this project. Well, who do you want in that group to take care of the project? Whose head are you holding responsible if it doesn't come out the way you want it to? If you don't know that answer, then they definitely don't know that answer. And so that can create a lot of confusion. They may begin to, fight internally, especially if they're really, trying to climb that corporate ladder as well, and they want the recognition for the project or whatever the case might be. At the end of the day, if you're going to delegate it to a group of people, you have to be very specific to who is ultimately responsible or what roles they play within creating the finished product. So, so clear objectives and clear roles and responsibilities, and then you have to ask yourself if you were clear on the timeline or the deadline. Were there certain milestones that needed to be met, or was there a certain time that the project needed to be completed, and was that communicated? So if you hand someone a report and say, please get this done quickly, quickly is relative to the person that you handed it to. So you probably need to be a little bit more specific. Please get this report done by the end of today, by the end of the week, by the end of the month. Then they have a clear timeline on when they need to have that project done. So the last thing that I mentioned before is communication. So if what I said was what you heard, I like to do something I call mirroring, which means I'm going to tell you something and then I want you to repeat it back to me in your own words. When I'm trying to make sure that an objective, the roles and responsibilities and the timeline were communicated correctly, I'm going to tell it to you, and then I'm going to ask you to repeat it back to me. sometimes it can seem like it's childish, but it's really not. You'd be surprised at how often someone didn't catch a detail or wasn't quite clear on the objective. And then you can always follow it up just as a, you know, good standard practice. Shoot them an email, a text message or something, and remind them, hey, if you have any questions about that, you know, give me a call. No question is dumb. But, you know, let them know that it's okay to contact you to make sure that it's that the information has been communicated clearly. So if you've done those 4 things, I think you'll find that your turnout for your delegated tasks will be a lot better. You will be much more satisfied because you are making sure that you have delegated the right type of task to the right person, and you've done it in an effective way where you've communicated the objective, the roles and responsibilities, and the timeline in which you expect it to be done. And you've double checked yourself by making sure that you've communicated those things clearly. So I know this seems like a lot of steps. However, as I mentioned, delegation is one of your most effective management tools. And when used properly, it can be so helpful in terms of your productivity. So please take the time to learn how to delegate correctly. It will not be time lost. It will in fact be time saved, and it will save you headaches. It will save you so much in productivity, so much in being able to, you know, get things done. And if you're building a small business or you're building a tight team as you climb that corporate ladder, it will really build a lot of trust. People love working in environments where they're not micromanaged and where they have the ability to grow their own skill sets and their own set of responsibilities as well. So, you know, all around, it is a tool that helps for a lot of growth, both in business and in the corporate setting, both for yourself in order for you to focus on things that you need to get done, and for those that you're delegating tasks to. So again, I hope that this was helpful. As I mentioned, it is in my blogs, and so now with a little bit more behind it, you can hopefully see where that delegation fits in as I talk about other tactics and tips in the workplace and as you grow your business. So again, I hope this was helpful. Please do comment below. If you have any questions, I will answer them. You can send us a message. You can go to our website, our Facebook, we have Twitter as well. You can go there. If you ask questions, then I will respond. And also, if you comment below, I will also respond. Please share this out with anyone that you feel may find this information useful. And our website is b2bthrive.com. So I look forward to hearing back from you. And I will also be having a video coming out shortly on time management. Specifically my productivity journal, because I get asked a lot of questions about how do I make everything work. If you have a chance to know me personally or get to, you know, be around me, admittedly, I do a lot of things and I make it work somehow, some way, typically because I really work hard to manage my productivity. I say time management, but time management is really not the case, right? You can't really manage time. You get 24 hours in a day and that's it. What you can do, however, is manage what you do in that time that you're given. And so that's managing your productivity. So I will be having a video coming out on that very shortly. It will talk about your productivity journal. And I also released a blog on it already, but the productivity journal will be kind of showing you what my journal looks like and going through that a little bit as well. So if there are questions that you have, I would love to do a video on them or write a blog on them. So again, I'm just encouraging you to share, you know, leave your comments, leave your questions. We love to hear from you. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.